Let's review Tales of Xillia for the PlayStation 3. The Tales series is one of my favorites, with its perfect blend of action-packed battle and character-driven story. Tales of Xillia 2 has everything that makes a Tales game great, but it adds a few unusual features that spices up the formula. The story is a direct continuation of the first Tales of Xillia. It is divided into chapters, and you can freely explore the world between each chapter. This alternation between linear story and free exploration helps you play at your own pace. Tales of Xillia 2 has a great story. The original characters of the first game are back with the addition of new allies, including our new silent protagonist. The character Ludgar rarely talks, but you have hundreds of branching dialogue choices. Having a silent protagonist with dialogue choices is a very rare feature in Tales games, and I'm glad the developers were open to exploring new storytelling techniques. The protagonist's dialogue choices are very cleverly written and give a sense of interactiveness. The game makes exploration fun by putting hidden items all over the place. Treasure chests are well hidden, but there are also minor items that appear as a sparkle on walls or ground, and they respawn after you leave the map. The protagonist has a cat called Rollo, and the cat helps you make friends with other cats. Conveniently, one of your neighbors has 100 cats that ran away, and those cats are scattered all over the world. As you find cats, you can dispatch the cats to hunt items for you. These cats are cleverly hidden and help make exploration exciting. There is an overwhelming number of NPCs that you can talk to, and the dialogue for each is surprisingly high quality considering the sheer scope of the world. Each city seems alive and distinct, and its people are also unique. The dialogue in a city changes for each chapter. There's so much lore to discover through NPC dialogue. The skits are fantastic, as expected of a Tales game. They are entertaining and give an excellent glimpse of each character's personality. Each character also has their side story, which is interesting and provides you with rewards for completing them. Let's talk about the other aspect that makes a Tales game awesome, which is the real-time action-packed combat. The battle system is pretty much a copy and paste from Tales of Xillia 1 with a few new mechanics. The first new mechanic is the main character who can wield 3 types of weapons. A monster is usually weak to one type of weapon. This means that the main character can switch between different types of weapon in order to exploit enemy weakness. This is a clever system that gives player more to do than just simply mashing X to win. With the strength and weakness system so integrated into the game, you no longer need an item to check the enemy's weakness. You can just hold R1 to check an enemy's strength and weakness, even if it's an enemy you've never seen before. The other addition is the ability for Ludgar to transform. The main character has a separate bar that gradually fills over time. After filling for around a minute, he has the ability to transform for a short while and become immune to damage. When the main character is transformed, your allies disappear from the field. While you take no damage, if the enemy hits you, this will deplete the remaining time you have for your transformation, so you still have to be on your toes. Outside of battle, you could customize your team in multiple ways, including picking your party members from the enlarged roster of playable characters and selecting the skills you want for each character. For those unfamiliar with the Tales series, skills are passive boosts that you set on the character status screen. Activating a skill consumes SP, but deactivating the skill gives back the SP. This means you need to consider which skills are important to you, because you can't activate them all. Skills have a wide variety of effects, from something as simple as stat boost to being able to parry or cancel attacks with a jump. I find the battle controls a bit overwhelming, but not in a bad way. There are so many actions you can do, and it takes a lot of practice in order to utilize all the battle system has to offer. For example, if you want to sidestep, you need to hold L1, a direction on the left analog stick, and then press X. However, since X is also mapped to the attack button, if you don't perform the inputs correctly, you'll attack instead of sidestep. There are more actions, such as jump cancelling, air dashing, switching weapons, free running, magic guarding, parrying, cast cancelling, linking, performing link attacks, transforming, taunting, switching targets, and more. It's honestly more complicated than many fighting games. If you want to simply mash X and circle, it kinda works, but there's a huge learning curve if you want to learn to combo properly. The game's combat is deep, and you can spend 100 hours mastering it. Finally, let's talk about the presentation. The graphics are absolutely fantastic, and really seems to push the limits of the PlayStation 3 in terms of character detail and animation. The game goes for a slightly more mature and realistic look compared to the previous Tales game, including more realistic character proportions, more realistic lighting and color palette, rather than cel shading. Facial expressions are also excellent. The game has a variety of locations that are visually inspiring, but half of the dungeons and fields seem recycled and barren. They look exactly like each other except for the color. The music is great. I especially love the jazz music for some of the modern cities, which is very unusual for Tales game. Sadly, some people do not like the English voiceovers. The story for this game has many dark moments. The Tales series always had dark moments starting from the very first Tales of Fantasia, where the first village gets destroyed, as well as Tales of the Abyss, where an entire town sinks into the miasma. However, this game takes it to even further in both its portrayals of pools of blood, plenty of death of both NPCs and characters, and difficult situations where there cannot be a positive resolution. However, I believe the story is extremely well done, and it doesn't hesitate to ask tough questions. This game has plenty of content and charm, and I highly recommend it not only for Tales fans, but also all RPG gamers. Sadly, as of this day, both the Tales of Xillia and Tales of Xillia 2 are still stuck on the PlayStation 3, so it might be hard to get a copy. I was lucky to buy the collector's edition of the first Tales of Xillia at launch, and I got this awesome Milia statue. I hope Namco gives us a remaster soon. If you want to see my playthrough of the game, please see the link in the description below. Thanks for watching and happy gaming!